The best late-night conservative talk show in America. That is radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to interview the best conservative talk. That is Sean and that is Frank. And we're working on integration papers for certain other guys that have to too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Tackheads Radio.
Tackheads. Tackheads.
Radio.
Tackheads. Tackheads.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever.
Hey, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show here on the SHR Media Network. It is the 21st of May, 2014. I'm half the show. I'm normally a third of the show, but Sacco, for whatever reason, just isn't here. And I can't figure it out.
You fired him.
I didn't fire him. I wouldn't fire him.
You fired him.
Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing.
You threw gasoline on him, and you struck a match.
Yes.
And you fired him.
How did I do that?
Because you're mean.
Oh, so much to talk about here. This is our first true official SHR media only. No blog talk radio, none of that.
None of what?
None of that BTR BS that we've been dealing with in the past. And I'll tell you, we were listening to Ken's show last night and on BTR, and about 35 minutes into the show, he got locked out of his BTR studio and he got locked out of his BTR audio.
Because they knew that he was coming over to us.
Well, I hope that's not the case. I think that would be very, very mean if that was the case. But yeah, so it was pretty. It was pretty rough. And his good friend Jason Miller, and now our good friend Jason Miller of the Evans Miller Report, actually Skyped into us, and he actually and I helped out a little bit, and Janice Hall jumped in. We kind of finished out Ken's show for him. So I hope we did it somewhat justice, but who knows? I know Jason did a good job. It was me. I had nothing prepared, and it was one of those weird moments.
That's not any different than any other night.
Well, here's the best part. You come in tonight, and you're like, all right, dude, I'm going to do the topics board on the whiteboard, right? And you picked the whiteboard. I don't know why you did that. I suggested we get something green with chalk, but for whatever reason...
Listen, you suggested green with chalk. Sacco suggested blackboard, which we obviously can't do.
Right, we're not allowed to do that.
We're not allowed to do
ever.
that. And then I suggested whiteboard, because you can't possibly offend anything that's white.
So I don't know where you got a Christian whiteboard. That's the weirdest thing on the face of the planet. It's been blessed, apparently.
Okay, so here's the thing. So because it was a whiteboard, it came from some progressive group, and they thought that because it was a whiteboard that it had some sort of satanic, demonic possession. So I took it to a priest who exorcised the demons. I don't know if they did bend and thrust or what they did. He said exercise. I don't know what that meant. And apparently they did some jumping jacks, and he handed the whiteboard back to me, so it can't be demonic possessed anymore, so I don't know why the progressive group wouldn't want it now. So we put it up, and that's the story of our whiteboard. Our Christian heterosexual male whiteboard.
You're too funny.
That's the title of it. Look, we put the sticker at the top. We need to get a photograph of it up on the website, but it says...
Oh, boy.
It says, white Christian heterosexual male board.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. That's great. I'm proud of you.
Let's form an association and see how far it gets.
We've talked about this.
I know.
Well, it's not going to get anywhere. It's not allowed, believe it or not. So to get back to my point, so you come in and you're like,
Ken's going to be our first member and founding president.
I know he will be. You're like, hey, you know what? I get all of our topics, and I'm going to put them up on the whiteboard, and that way we can read up on it and get ready. So I said, great. So you put them up on the board, and we each kind of have an idea what we're going to talk about sometimes. And all of a sudden I realized something. I don't have my glasses in studio tonight.
Uh-huh.
And I can't read.
We have shot glasses right there.
My reading glasses or my seeing glasses. I can't read a damn thing on that board.
Okay, you have two shot glasses because we did take a couple of shots prior to the show starting.
Well, normally,
and hold those up to your eyes. your vision will clear.
You look like a really attractive blonde right now. Is that normal?
Yes! I'm wearing my high heels and my wig. Ignore the Adam's apple.
So you're going to have to help me out, because I legitimately, the only thing I'm going to do is at the first break.
Do you really want me to read this verbatim?
No.
Why not?
Wow. You're just really going to, yeah. You know what? You read it verbatim. I'm going to mute my mic again.
Well, okay. So it says 2000 to 2015, intro / general bullshit session.
That sounds like something we would put up. Go on.
That's 2015 to 2030, communism failed, weird, Che Cafe at UC San Diego.
Go on.
2030 to 2100, U.S. could screw with Russia, screwing with Ukraine.
I swear, folks, this is the best part. This is really on our board.
No, it is. 2100 to 2130, Pistolgrip Pelosi picks a peck of progressives for the probe. I love that one. That one I actually wrote down and I laughed, and I said I cracked myself up, and then you started laughing, which was hilarious. 2130 to 2145. This one's not that funny. Holder DOJ gets cyber espionage case filed against Chinese, and then 2145 2200 closing / major ending, because we had a general bullshit session, so we need to have a demotion, have a major ending. So that's our lineup, and that's literally what's on the production board.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Thank you very much, because now I at least have a general idea. I'm sorry.
A kernel idea. Yeah, we've already used general.
I have a kernel idea as to what we're going to talk about.
You have a private idea.
Well, and here's the problem. Sacco is on vacation this week. Sacco's in Alaska. Now I can read the board.
Do we earn vacation time?
He does somehow. He does it all
weird.
the time.
I don't know how he does that.
He's on assignment in Alaska, and we have assigned him to wrestle a bear. Just go into the woods, be a man. He was talking about being a man last week on the show.
He was talking about being a man on the show.
So I said, all right, fine. You want to go to Alaska and wrestle a bear, which is essentially what you're saying when you're going to start touting how much of a man you are.
Absolutely. And then throw in, I'm going on vacation to Alaska.
Well, yeah, because I didn't want to pay for it, but I hope you wrote it off now, because we're talking about it on the air. It is an assignment.
And if he does, in fact, wrestle a bear, he's going to talk about it on the air. The only way to tell Sacco apart from the bear would be the fact that he's got black fur all over his body.
He does.
And anything up there may be polar bear, so it'd be like white fur.
You know, and everyone thinks we give Sacco such a hard time. We do give Sacco such a hard time, but it's for good reason. It's because everyone has him pegged as this little innocent, like, nice guy. Oh, everyone who calls on the show, oh, Sacco's so nice, Sacco's so friendly, Sacco's so nice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the mic goes off, and that guy's a jerk.
He's a complete jerk. He cusses like a sailor. He gets drunk, and he gets so drunk, he takes his pants off. We're not going to get into that. But do you remember what we found in the studio that one time?
Yeah. That was weird. I didn't even know where you would get a llama at that time of night.
And that's my point, right? And then why would you put a clown mask on it?
Well, I mean, let's face it. Have you ever seen a llama's face? It's pretty frightening.
It's always looking like it's judging you. They're so judgmental. And the funny thing is, he actually went for an alpaca, but he ended up with the llama.
Oh, good. Thank goodness. How was your week, my friend?
It was ridiculous.
Well, good.
Literally, so I had a bowl of cereal to eat from 4:30 this morning until about an hour ago.
Nice.
And that was it.
Nice.
It wasn't even good cereal. It was healthy cereal.
Oh, it wasn't like Captain Crunch?
No, it wasn't like peanut butter crunch or anything delicious like that.
Blueberry?
Yes.
Dude.
Frankenberry.
Yep, some good old-fashioned stuff going on
Count
here.
Chocula.
Count Chocula, you are a badass.
I need a Count Chocula t-shirt.
So
Sackheads needs to team with like Count Chocula. Tell me where I'm wrong, Sean. This is a brilliant marketing idea.
Why did you mouth Ken when you said Count Chocula? That's weird.
Why did you mouth Ken, but it wasn't in reference to saying anything?
We do have a phone number tonight. It's 800-545-5708. However, there is two of us, and I may not be able to answer it at any point.
I will never answer it because I really don't want to talk to you.
I have the same type of week. We've been running around. Dude, there's a great link in chat right now. If you're in our chat room at shrmedia.com, Golf Dogs just put up a link of a Twitter pic that I think sums us up pretty well. And Clint, if you click on that, it's right under his name. I know you don't really know how to use this.
What?
Hold on.
Click with what? What are you talking
the mouse.
about? The what?
The plastic thing in your hand.
Oh.
Now,
that's not a... Is that what it's called?
Oh, man, it's every week here, folks. All right, now click on that link and open it up.
This one?
Yeah, the one that says twitpic/E161AX/full.
Okay.
Now double click it, and that should essentially sum up what Sacco is going to look like his entire time on vacation. What did you do? How did you break it? Oh, there it is. What an outstanding
what's weird
pick by a good friend, Golf Dogs.
They need to add about 40 pounds to that picture.
Dude, that's the best. I think that it's all in the detail, because the second bag being just slightly smaller and appropriately put.
Right. There needs to be like a bear put in there, though.
Oh, man, what a great time. So thank you so much, Golf, for that. I truly appreciate it. Send your good, fun picks if you love the Sackheads. You can send them to info@sackheads, shrmedia.com. I always give out the old email address. So moving on, you said communism failed, which is weird, because if you ask a lot of socialists, communism didn't fail. It just wasn't given a full chance.
Ever. In any country, ever.
Nobody ever just gave it a good go?
Nope, nobody just gave it a whirl. Not one country in the history of the world has ever given communism a whirl.
Doi.
Right. Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that. So there's we have 2 more minutes of general jackassery.
Oh,
and
we have
bullshit.
2 more minutes?
Well, 1 minute now. I have 56 seconds, but we can go ahead and go on.
No,
we can go to break early.
Well, we might go to break early.
Am I formatting here tonight or not?
You are just on.
We don't have Sacco to keep us on point.
Well,
so I have to
and that's going to be the problem. I'm supposed to be trying to figure out all this and how to actually do Sacco's side of the work while we're on the air.
Okay, Oakland Athletics won 3-2 tonight, so we can go ahead and continue on now.
Okay.
Okay. I wanted the bullshit session to last long enough for the final score to come in before we got into some real stuff. Before we got real.
Man.
I'm done. How'd Boston do tonight?
Not so well. Moving on.
Define not so well.
We're on a 5-game skid.
Skid, as in Sacco's underwear? What are we talking about?
It might as well be at this point. Yeah, so not doing so well, my Red Sox right now. We're having a slow start. I don't know what's going on. We have enough talent that we shouldn't, but...
Are the Sox over 500? The Red Sox, the
no,
real Sox.
We're under right now.
How many games under?
I think 4 or 5.
I'm going to keep asking the question every time you lift that bottle of water to your lips. Take a drink.
Thank you very much.
I'm there for you.
Can we move on, please? Our listeners expect less out of us, but let's try to give them more. Let's try to give them a little extra.
I try and give a little extra, and never mind, it's not important. So... University of California, which is weird, University of California, San Diego, they had a cafe, and it was called the Che Cafe Collective. No, it's great. No, it's beautiful. Listen, Nirvana and Green Day got their starts kind of playing there, which is awesome. But here's the problem. So the cafe, which has been really kind of an icon at the University of California, San Diego, it's been operating for 34 years. It's a collective, and it's a vegan co-op, which sounds
Sorry. No, really? They have those?
Apparently, yeah. I didn't say a pagan co-op. I said it's a vegan co-op.
No, go ahead.
So they have, quote, exorbitantly low prices, and all of their staff there works on a volunteer basis, And major groups have gotten there. It's kind of a concert venue also. Certain groups, as I've indicated, like Nirvana and Green Day, kind of got their start playing there for concerts, and people would come. And as fee for playing there, the co-op would give the bands food. They'd feed the band. And the best part is the crowd could get the leftovers, which is awesome. Yeah, delish. And the food would be donated by various student groups and students and whatnot. However, the problem is the co-op has been operating they have not been in the black for quite a while.
Weird. So they like the color red.
They like the color red so much that they operate within it. And so to try and save the shop, the co-op, the student body ends up funding certain things. So the place has fallen into disrepair. It's not been maintained up to code. So the building has needed repairs, and because it's a co-op and it doesn't bring in really any money, it's community owned. It's great. It's Che, right? He's a revolutionary, just like this co-op. It's a revolutionary business model, and it sucked, just like Che did.
What?
So what?
How is that even possible?
I don't know. Utopian society should be great, right?
Right.
It produced Nirvana. How could we allow this icon?
Call me crazy, but
fail?
I am almost positive that Nirvana might have done okay without that.
Absolutely not, Sean. This is the Che Cafe. The Che Cafe.
The Che Cafe? What?
I don't know. So there's been about...
I have no idea what that was.
Was that Nirvana or Green Day? Was it the spirit of?
It was. I'm trying to get into the swing of the new soundboard and help some things out, and I'm gonna guess I blew that one. I'm just saying.
That's not the only one. Is that a submarine sound?
No, this is just music from inside the Che Cafe.
I can smell the patchouli and hemp. Why are you wearing Birkenstocks right now?
Well, this is the Soviet march song. It's called the Polushka Poil. What? You don't think this is the... All right, fine. Go ahead. I was just trying to add you a little narration music.
No, it was beautiful, but I'm so in shock that you actually stood up and saluted while that was playing. I'm in awe right now, particularly since you did that in front of the flag of honor.
Oh, cut it out.
Are you or are you not in front of the flag of honor?
I am in front
of the flag of honor. Thank you very much. So, like we were saying, the student body has put about $1 million of student funds into this.
Do you want the music back?
Hole. Not yet.
Okay, go on.
Not yet. I'll tell you when to hit it. So obviously the student body is upset. They're saying, hey, why are we putting our hard-earned money into something that most of us don't use, and we're wasting our money? We could be using it for other things. And the cafe it's been just such a drain that the university is trying to table it, but obviously there's some pushback for that because it's such an icon, and the Che Cafe volunteers they call this push to close them down and stop throwing their money into it. And I'm going to quote here: "Hit it."
Whoa, you can't do that to me like that.
I told you I was going to tell you to hit it.
He said, I'm going to give you a quote here. Okay.
Forget it. Moment's gone. They call it an orchestrated attack against them. It's an orchestrated attack. So I'm going to narrate on that quote.
Orchestrated?
This orchestrated attack is brought about by the capitalist pigs that want nothing but to make money on the backs of those hard-working workers, the class of citizens known as the workers, who just form a co-op for the good of the community, to bring music and togetherness and oneness with low-cost food that nobody has to pay for. And we can let our buildings fall into disrepair because your money will pay for it because we're all in this together. We all own it, comrade. So who are you to vote not to give us $1 million of your money to save the people's building? We've brought you things like Nirvana, Green Day,
Birkenstocks,
communist bullshit sessions in the corner, coffee, and poems. We are the worker. We are the working class here at UC San Diego.
UC San Diego working class.
And the Che Cafe volunteers are going to stand up and fight for our right to exist and take your money to put into our piece of shit building. This is so ridiculous.
Well, you know, and once again, instead of just being like, hey, our cafe sucks and it's closing,
Right.
there has to be a bigger... it can't be us. It can't be what we're doing. It has to be, damn it, everybody else who isn't understanding what we're doing. It is so obnoxious to me that they have the audacity, after costing this much money, by the way, to a UC school that gets paid for with taxpayers' money.
Right, but this money comes from student fees.
No, I understand, but the school itself is there on taxpayer money.
Right, and the student fees are going up.
Right,
because they're dumping $1
because
million
they're paying the damn Che
into the
Cafe.
Che Cafe. Right. Do we have any like American sounding music to play?
I haven't gotten it ready yet, dude. As soon as you got into that segment, I started looking for it. Well, give me a second.
This is where we need Sacco.
He's much better at it than I am.
You're fired from soundboarding.
Moving on. You know you're going to get this music 5 minutes after you want it, right?
I know. I'm going to get
Okay.
the music in the session when we're talking about like Pelosi or something. Like an hour from now. I have a difficult time with the fact that on a public university, the UC system, you have a cafe named after Che Guevara.
Right.
Why not call it Ernesto's? Right? That was his name, Ernesto Che Guevara. But that way, when you get caught being a communist pig who's taking all the money, you can say, no, it's named Ernesto's. We named it after the guy down the street.
But they don't even think that far ahead. They're so proud of their communist ridiculous. And listen, you know, Sackhead Michaela did an article, I think it was about a year and a half ago, about the socialist propaganda that was being pushed. I think it was UC, was it Santa Barbara? It was somewhere in the Bay Area. Maybe it was Monterey. It was UC Santa Cruz. And she did a great article.
Michaela.
Sackhead Michaela. And she did a great article about it. And once again, here we are. We're talking about yet another state-run school system. I mean, can you imagine if your children went to a public elementary school and they ate lunch every day at the Che Cafe? Oh, it's a Che Guevara Cafe in our elementary school.
I wonder if any exists. Because you know there are public schools out there that think Che Guevara is great. He was a great revolutionary. He fought with Fidel Castro.
Yes.
He murdered lots of people.
Yes. He wasn't exactly a great anything other than killer. And he did nothing positive to get the attention that he gets.
That's not true. He killed lots of people, and he toppled an evil regime and helped Fidel Castro instill communism.
Okay. I have a response to those down in, where were they? San Diego?
UC San Diego, which is weird, because San Diego is not usually this crazy. You sound so good when you sing this song.
Don't interrupt me.
you were supposed to take your hat off, not your pants, during that.
I just, that was one of those things I was going to play that for a split second just to prove a point to the UC San Diego crowd. But then once it started, I can't stop that.
You can't stop that because then you'd be a jerk.
Right, exactly. Listen, anytime public money's going into anything, and Golf had a great comment in the chat room, what difference does it make? He's making a Hillary reference. Anytime public money goes to anything, there should be absolutely zero communist, socialist, Marxist values involved. It should not be allowed because, I'm not saying we can't teach history. There's a difference. You teach history. And you teach what happens. And you follow through. You don't talk about just what happened then. You talk about now. You go to Cuba, which is what he helped Fidel Castro win, essentially. Cuba's a third world country that's 90 miles from the shores of America.
They're like a seventh world country, I'm pretty sure.
Because of communism.
Why would you not name your cafe the Washington Cafe or the Frederick Douglass Cafe? Or the Samuel Adams Cafe.
If you don't want to make any political
unless
statement...
you don't serve beer, right?
That would be awesome. If you don't want to make any political statement, you could just call it Joe's Cafe. But if you want to make some sort of political / famous person, then pick somebody that's worth picking.
Right, and if you're a college...
Sister Teresa Cafe.
And if you're a sister, wasn't she a mother?
Mother Teresa. She was a sister first.
At some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately she graduated to mother.
Yeah.
Is it graduation? I don't know.
Then she went to saint.
She did go to saint.
I mean, that's like the ultimate. I can only hope to be like kind of good by the time I pass away. Kinda. She gets sainthood.
Right. Kind of good for you would be Demon Sean, right? That would be you. That's kind of good.
The world's only fat demon, folks. But
I want to know why the school allowed a Che Cafe. Would they allow a Chairman Mao Cafe? They might. Would they allow a...
I prefer Chairman Meow.
Would they allow a Stalin Cafe?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, these are...
Maybe that's the name of their little transit system. We're not Stalin. Get on.
Right. We'll Russia there.
We'll Russia there. But, it is ridiculous that it's a school system. And listen.
It's ridiculous that it's a school system.
It is ridiculous it's a school system allowing this. And I don't know when this country is going to inform our youth.
We're not.
That these people that like we talked about, Chairman Mao, Karl Marx, all those guys, we're so off base that there's not a successful communist country for a reason. China.
Oh wait, they're having kind of some weird capitalist.
They're just
eight
eight bubbles behind us. Eventually, that'll pop too. But
they have a capitalist.
These people were murderers.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like, they love to throw the word freedom fighter, but they weren't going in to a country that wasn't formed and forming it. They were going into a formed country, a country that had a stable government, because it wasn't the form of government they wanted. It wasn't even a tumultuous country. Cuba was actually very prosperous before it became communist in the 40s.
That's not true, Sean. You need to stop spreading those lies.
In the 40s, it was one of the biggest vacation spots for Americans off the East Coast. They had a vibrant economy. They had unbelievable, because they have great beaches. They have it's a resort island. It
used to be.
It used to be. And then the communists took over, and they're driving cars from the 50s. So it's one of those things that, they just love the image. And it goes to the same people that vote for Obama, though. A lot of the people that have made these votes and that like these people have a tendency to be flash observers. They observe one split second of it. They don't look at the entire history of it. They just look at, oh, hey, I saw, the Gap was selling this damn shirt, so this guy must be cool. And then they jump into it.
I think some of them, they think it's cool, they don't understand the history, and some of them actually understand the history and they want to move us down that path.
I agree.
Some of them are ignorant. They don't understand the history. We've dumbed down our history here in this country. They think it's cool. Oh, they were revolutionaries. They were fighting for the people. It sounds cool, right? You're young and idealistic, and it sounds cool fighting for the people, right? George Washington, he fought for the people. We fought for liberty. We fought against tyranny just like Che. Well, there's some fundamental differences there, and that failure to instruct, or the failure to instruct in the educational system, preparing our youngsters for life and what they get when they are in high school and colleges plays into that whole idealist philosophy where it sounds good, but without understanding the history behind it or the reality of it, you just kind of get caught up in that ignorance is sad.
Pretty key
to me.
It's very, very sad.
We're up against a break.
We are up against a break. Hey,
your mom's against a break.
Golf Dogs in the chat room here at SHR Media brought up a really good point, is that China is very well embracing capitalism. It's just not reported upon because it's just not.
Well, wait a second. I just said that they were.
I know, but Golf said it too.
Communism.
And he did the funny picture with the bag over your PP.
He pretty much nailed that.
We'll be back at 3 here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcast on the 405radio.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberty, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific from me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state. America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Rooster from Outcry Radio. Catch me here on Blog Talk Radio every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or follow my blog. Now, back to the Sackheads.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to SHR Network
Radio.
Pack juice. Pack juice. Pack juice. Pack juice. Pack juice.
Hey, we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Clint is honestly trying to find the chat room as we speak. It's pretty funny, actually.
Well, hang on a second. I found the chat room. It's right here in cyberspace somewhere. So I found it. I know the location.
Oh, good times. I always love when you when you and media, when you and electronics and technology come together, it is much like what causes a tornado. You know, you get that hot air mass.
Why are you laughing?
Because I know the best part is the next sound you're about to hear is not going to be a sound effect, which is awesome because that's just how we roll
hang on a
at
second.
SHR Media.
This is the technology that I embrace.
Okay. Okay, good.
That's.
Hey,
hang on. This is That's the technology that I embrace right there.
I do have a huge announcement to make. The
penis.
No, I said big.
I love it when you laugh so hard spontaneously that you turn bright red and cough into the corner.
The Evans Miller Report is going to be coming over and joining SHR Media. Jason and I have been talking this week, and we're going to get everything finalized. So,
oh, good. I'm glad I threw that word out when you were talking about them. So
I said I was going to make a big announcement. That's really, it's, it's on you. Your timing sometimes isn't all that great.
I think the timing was perfect on that one. Just so you know, I think I pretty much nailed that.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you nailed it. Clint is not drinking, for the record. Clint does not drink on a regular basis as much as I do.
This is true.
So, in comparison, you're fine. Oh, moving right along here, folks.
It's been one of those days.
It has been one of those days. It's going to be one of those weeks. And you know what? We have so much stuff going on here at SHR Media, and I'm so psyched about it. And we're doing so much work behind the scenes to get things done, and we're working with our great friends like
We
Ken
actually have
McClinton.
spent a lot of time together over the last couple of weeks.
A lot of time. And we're trying to finalize all the details because, as I said last night, we were when I was helping Jason Miller and Ken's show, we're not going to release a lousy product. And we're,
well, we don't think it's lousy. If you
we don't think it's lousy. But I don't mind if we're the test guinea pigs. We'll have some problems here and there as we're working the stuff out over this next this next week or so.
Yeah, I've had some problems, and I've been talking to folks, and so that's.
But once we finalize the technicality, the technical stuff, we're going to go forth. But I don't want to bring in broadcasters and try to teach them just all our nuances in our programs and stuff that we use without being able to teach them appropriately.
No, you're absolutely right. We want to make sure that we understand what we're doing first, so we'll take the falls and the stumbles and ensure we get it right before we push
it out over there.
Absolutely.
So, Andrea Kay was dropping hints all this week about maybe something coming that way. The Outcry Radio, Rooster Crows at Night, is going to be here on Saturday night. SHRmedia.com, Clint. I love when I have to tell you what the Evans Miller Report, of course, the Exceptional Conservative Show anchoring for us, and we have a few other shows that we're talking about here shortly. So we're really psyched about that, and we are, like I said, we're working out all the details. This is our first real show without BTR, and I hope you folks at SHRmedia.com are enjoying it. It's going really well on our end, even though Sacco ditched us on the night that we're making the jump, and he's going to pay for that severely. Did you ever seen... all right, Sacco. Clint, you're pushing us through to the next segment. I love it. This is so weird for me, for you to be doing this. But go on.
I am. Well, listen, you had general bullshit section that you could have thrown all that out against while I was listening to the A's game.
All right.
And then you have the major ending that would have been perfect timing for this. Because now we're 10 minutes into the next segment. And the topic is U.S. could screw with Russia screwing with Ukraine.
Okay. And so explain to us how you think the U.S. could screw with Russia, who's screwing with the Ukraine.
A couple things. First of all, a nuclear missile. But I know that's not an option right now. That would ruin their day. However, natural gas, and not the kind that Sacco makes, but natural gas production here in the United States is key. Look, how did we beat the Russians? And we talked about this before when we talked with Congressman Sessions and so forth. So we've talked about it on the show before, but it was economically. Mm-hmm. We felled them, and it was through energy policy what played a major role in that. And right now, Russia is kind of screwing with Ukraine, basically saying they will only deliver gas to the Ukraine if they pay for it in advance. And Ukraine is they're hurting for money right now.
Of course they are, because half their country was just stolen by Russia, and they were hurting for money before that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. And so Russia's essentially threatening to cut off the fuel supply to the Ukraine, which is a major issue. Now, the U.S. could supply natural gas, by liquefying natural gas and shipping it over to the Ukraine. However, there is a lot of red tape involved with this. The United States has facilities, they have port facilities that can turn natural gas into liquid, which is how you have to export it.
Yeah, liquid LNG is a huge the best way to export it.
Right. So we have these port facilities in place, but shipping to a country that does not have a free trade agreement with us requires a permit issued from the federal government. Now, this permit is issued from the Department of Energy. And since 2011, the Department of Energy has only approved 6 applications to export the natural gas to these nations that do not have this free trade agreement with us. And the Ukraine is not included in that list of 6 countries. So if Russia is threatening to cut Ukraine off, we're basically saying, hey, we're not going to supply you with the fuel you need to operate, well, with energy, and you have to pay in advance, and Ukraine
doesn't have the money.
Yeah, they don't have the money to pay in advance. That's an area that the U.S. could very easily pick up and ease that threat, really, to the Ukraine and to other countries in that region. I mean, we could export to Great Britain, the other European countries that rely on Russia, that would prohibit Putin from really exerting this much power or control over this region. What happens if Ukraine is unable to pay and they don't get energy and Putin says, there, why don't you come back with us and we'll take care of you. We'll give you gas because you'll be part of our country now. And the citizens are suffering, and we can alleviate your suffering. We can give you energy. I would love to give you energy, but your government can't pay for it because it's so poor, and obviously, though, your Western values have failed you. So come back to us. And the U.S. right now is powerless to stop it because the Department of Energy will not issue the permits. Now, there has been calls from members of Congress to kind of expedite some of these permits and to get this going, but it certainly looks like Putin, through these policies, are looking to expand the power base again. And we've said it before, put the band back together. I believe the Russians control nearly 20% of the world's natural gas reserves.
Yes.
And they supply half of the Ukraine's energy.
That's crazy.
It's over 50%.
So they can boot to the neck anytime they want.
Absolutely. Now, Ukraine just signed a deal with Chevron. That's going to allow Chevron to drill for shale in the western portion of Ukraine. And their goal by signing that deal, and it's worth like $10 billion, is to end its energy dependence on Russia. But why can't the United States fill that gap? First of all, let's look at the jobs it would create here. Let's look at what that would do for our economy as a whole and our influence in the world, and in not only boosting our influence in the world economically, but reducing the influence of Russia in the world. And you look at what Russia is doing with energy. They just signed a deal with China worth $400 billion that China is going to purchase Russian natural gas.
Weird.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Of course it's a big deal.
So what does that do? Well, first of all, it's Putin has been really kind of ostracized. He's had sanctions put against him from the United States. He's had taken some heat. I mean, not a lot of heat, right? Nobody's really being tough with putt-putt, but he's kind of been isolated a little bit in terms of how he's been dealt with from the world. He's felt some of the heat through some of the sanctions and whatnot that have been put on, although they haven't been exceedingly harsh. I'm sure he has felt something from them. Well, what's China do? They bail him out, right? Hey,
exactly.
You know what? We'll give you $400 billion, and we'll agree to purchase natural gas from you to boost your economy, and really it boosts his standing in the world and his ability to continue to operate with impunity, in essence. Because okay, fine, give me sanctions. I have $400 billion coming in from China, and I'm now an energy partner with China, another major world power.
Huge power. And now the other thing, too, is that has just very much increased their partnership, and now they've become more of a vested interest to one another. Mm-hmm. So now it's starting to form that tougher alliance, and I think it was you that said it at the beginning of all this, is, he's going to start forming alliances with countries that we're at odds with, because he knows that he needs the energy, and he needs the money. As much as he produces in natural gas, that's how much oil he needs. So who does he go to? Syria. He goes to, Iran. He needs money, and who has money in the world right now?
Well, China. So Russia has been exporting primarily to Europe.
Right.
So now he's opened up China. He's diversifying his energy options here and his markets. So it's scary. So what does the United States continue to do? Well, we're going to the environmentalists don't really want us to do these things, so we're not going to. There are some Democrats that sent a letter to the Obama administration telling them, hey, we need to fast track these developments and of these liquefied natural gas terminals and speed up the permitting process.
So that's going to be taken care of.
Well, not really, because you have these.
What? How's that problem not just solved? I figured that would just be solved right away.
Yeah. I don't know, because the environment is far more important than anything else happening in the world, I guess, in their view.
Well, and here's the problem. It's bad enough when we destroy our own economy via the environment. And I mean, you look at automakers and cars and what happened when all those restrictions were put on cars and all those mandates were made by the federal government. Oh, you have to produce a car that has this much energy, uses this much energy, that much energy, blah, blah, blah. It destroyed Chevrolet. It destroyed GM because they were going so far out of the way to meet those ridiculous standards set by the Clinton administration that, I mean, yes, it was poor management at well, but
look how well Ford has done.
But Ford also, Ford planned better, and Ford came up with a better product. But the pressure that was put on them to meet those mandates, I think, forced them to kind of construct cars they weren't ready to construct. So you have government, again, enforcing things that puts, or should have, put a business out of business because of its ridiculous requirements. So, okay, so we do that over here. But now we're doing it when other countries are being affected. We're so worried about the economy that we won't help somebody that we keep saying we want to help. The government keeps saying that, and this is going to be another red line, essentially, is what Obama said, and then nothing. So why shouldn't we?
You know why we shouldn't?
Let
me tell you why. Because Eleanor Bravo, who's the senior organizer for Food and Water Watch New Mexico, says, quote, "This is terrible."
I was so expecting that to go on.
That's why, Sean.
Well, it's hard to argue with facts like that.
Yes, because of climate warriors like Eleanor.
Eleanor Bravo.
I don't give her a bravo for that.
But
so, look,
it's so frustrating.
It is frustrating, and it could very easily. The Obama administration can simply ease the permitting process, or hey, you know what? Hey, Department of Energy, this is kind of a big deal. You've issued 6 permits since 2011. Mm-hmm. Issue a permit to the Ukraine right now.
Yes,
just issue it. Issue it to the Ukraine. We have other countries in Europe that are part of the free trade agreement. That's fine. Issue the permit for Ukraine specifically. Get it going right now. let's start exporting our liquefied natural gas to the Ukraine to ease some of their problems while Chevron goes in there and drills for shale and gets Ukraine energy independent. Let's supply that need for the next 6 years. Their goal is to be energy independent by 2020. For 6 years, we can, or let's say 5 years, by the time we get it up and running, for the next 5 years, we can bring jobs to America. We can bring revenue to America by exporting our liquefied natural gas.
Absolutely.
They may still subsidize from us when they have their own energy that they're producing over in the western part of their country, and we're going to start exporting to Europe as well, because we don't want our allies being tied to Russia and hampering our ability to exert certain pressures over them, because nobody wants to touch them because of economically they're tied to them for energy, or they're dependent upon them for energy, like Great Britain.
Right.
Our greatest ally. And Great Britain, I want to remind you of something. We've been allies for a long time. However, you didn't back us really on Russia, and we kicked your ass twice. You burned the White House one time. Good one. Okay? Good one. But you didn't win that one either.
I forget what movie it was, but there's an old veteran talking to a British guy, and he says, well, we don't want to have to save your ass again like we did in WW2. Oh, remember Yorktown. No, we need to start the extension. And listen, we all know that we have an abundance of energy here, and if we can use that energy to, A, better our economy, which is destroyed right now, and B, prove Russia a lesson and teach them a lesson, and then help the Ukraine and help Great Britain. And we talked about this when it all first started, and Great Britain was really hesitant because of the amount of gas that they get from Russia to do much of anything. And we said, no. We have natural gas here. We can solve Great Britain's problem. Now we can solve the same way the Ukraine's problem, and we can start putting Russia back in the corner where it kind of belongs.
Absolutely, or Putin belongs there, not Russia as a whole, but Putin belongs there.
Right now,
he is Russia.
Yeah, right now, he is Russia.
He is Father Russia.
He is Father Russia. He is the Russian bear.
So, I get such a great visual whenever I hear that term. So do you think, listen, UC San Diego, I think that what you should do is have the Putin Cafe.
The Putin Bear Cafe.
Yeah.
Where, because you can do vegan, it's that whole, bare naked type thing, that whole, with nature, you can really work that double edge in.
But you can't do vegan, though, because vegan really isn't manly. I mean, I'm not saying that to be mean, but meat and beer. If you have the Putin Cafe, you have to serve meat and beer and vodka. And that's it. Meat, beer, and vodka. Or, if you have a bar, the only kind of drink you can order is an old-fashioned. That's it. That's all you get.
Oh, that's a good one.
You like that?
I like old-fashions.
I know. I know.
Oh, man. No, I think that's a great idea. I think, and this is the sound that you would honestly need if you were in said cafe. Would that be a beer and 2 cheeseburgers? Okay, we're coming right up.
Oh yeah, coming right up. That's the sound you hear as you walk in the door.
That's the ambiance sound. When you go to the Rainforest Cafe and they have all the birds and the waterfalls and all that stuff.
Right. There's no music or anything. There's no candles or anything. There's torches. And that growling demon sound. And then when you go to the restroom, it's the Volga Boatman playing.
The Volga Boatman. No, I think that's a good idea. Listen, we need at some point, and we keep talking about this like it's going to happen, you know, and it's almost like the girl who's waiting for the guy to call him for prom. Like, he's going to call at some point. He's going to invite me. We keep waiting for this president and this administration to step up when the time is right and really take some action against things like this. I'm just sad that it's probably not going to happen. And it certainly isn't likely to happen. You know, when you have our Secretary of State who's essentially can't even talk nice to our allies and equate them to apartheid, to one of our closest allies, you really think they have the gumption, intelligence, and ability to deal with Russia effectively? I submit that they don't. And that's the problem. You know, we can come up with all these great ideas, and there's so many. We're not the only ones. Certainly, I didn't have this idea. This was Clint's idea. There's a lot of
What was my idea?
Huh?
This was not my idea.
The show?
Well, this show was my idea. Well, it was our idea.
I'm just talking about how do you deal with Russia. I was kidding. But there's so many great minds out there that are giving suggestions with Russia, Syria, Iran, all this other stuff that would work, but this administration is either incompetent or has a specific plan in place that they want to keep pushing forward. And it can be, you know, you can go two different ways. You can talk about how they believe in this globalism, United Nations, one country for all type thing, or that they want to go to the direction of socialism, so they want to keep shoestringing, if you will, our economy and cutting people short and keeping people on that government dollar. But either way, they're not going to stand up and take any sort of real action. So what's our plan?
Well, it's about wealth redistribution, right?
I agree.
It's about wealth redistribution,
I agree.
whether you want to call it, like you said, one world government, or whether you want to call it, it's socialist. You have to accomplish. How do you accomplish wealth redistribution, and not just on the national level, but on the international level? You do it through one government. You do it through socialist policies
Agenda
or communist
21,
policies. You do it through
small arms deals.
Yeah, you do it through having our income come down for our nation not being prosperous. Why do you want to export liquefied natural gas to other companies? Why would you want to have job creation or explosive job creation in a particular industry, which we absolutely have the potential to do right now? You don't, because then that would boost our standing in the world. That would boost our income in the world, and you can't do that. Is it easier to bring the rest of the world's income level up to our level? No, it's impossible. You can't do that. So how do you redistribute the wealth? You make us, as a country, poorer. You diminish our standing in the world to put us on an equal playing field with others. And that includes financially as a whole and individually. And you can't do that through creating jobs. You have to do it through stiff regulation in order to stifle the economy, or at least create very slow growth, if there is any growth at all, because you don't want the economy to explode or any particular industry to explode. And you know, I wish I was the one that came up with the answer to how to deal with Russia. And I know we've talked about it before, but this series of articles actually came out this week about, hey, it's kind of been to the forefront as Russia is really squeezing Ukraine, and as Russia is signing deals with China. There's several articles that have been written all over the place about, hey, we need to ease this permitting process and get our exports going. I mean, a side note, yes, it will boost our economy, but it'll absolutely keep Russia in check. We beat them once economically at this game. We can do it again. And
we don't need that much different of a plan.
We don't, and it's the same plan, and members of Congress see this, and they're even urging the administration in this way. And like I said, we've talked about it before, but we're up against a break right now, my friend.
We are up against a break. 800-545-5708 is the phone number. We're going to be back here in 3 on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state. America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Rooster from Outcry Radio. Catch me here on Blog Talk Radio every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or follow my blog. Now, back to the Sackheads.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Here's radio.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show 800. Oh, why do we get a new number?
I didn't know we had a new number.
800-545-5708 is the phone number this evening if you want to call in.
I didn't know we had any number at all.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do we need a number for?
I don't know. I just figured somebody might want to talk to you.
Who the hell wants to talk to me?
Nobody wants to talk to me. So our good friend Pistolgrip Pelosi.
Yeah, well, let's read the title of this segment again.
Oh, the segment title is always the best. Go on.
Pistolgrip Pelosi picks a peck of progressives for the probe.
In which probe, of course?
Benghazi.
Yes. Why wouldn't she? It's so funny how all of a sudden the Democrats have an interest in what's going on in Benghazi.
They don't.
No, they do.
No, they don't.
They have an interest in making sure that nothing comes out. That's what they have an interest in. They don't have an interest in the truth in Benghazi. They don't have the interest to know why 4 people died. They don't have an interest in knowing what was going on in the Situation Room when this was going down. They don't have an interest in any of that. They have an interest in making sure that the people, in my opinion, don't find out. That's what they have an interest in. They're scumbags.
I just saw the best headline as I'm cruising here, and it just struck me as funny. It's Nancy Pelosi taps 5 Democrats.
Film at 11. All I can picture is the theme from the original Raiders of the Lost Ark where the Nazi melts. You know? The door just opens and just, and his eyes fall out and everything.
Was that Raiders of the Lost Ark?
That was Raiders.
Was that Temple?
No, that was Raiders.
Yeah.
I know. And Mary posed my next question in the chat room. Why can't Trey Gowdy refuse her picks? And that's a good question. And I'm sure that's going to come up somewhere down the line. But here's the hypocrisy on my end. They didn't want anything to do with this at all, like we said. And now all of a sudden you get Trey Gowdy, a experienced investigator, an experienced prosecutor, somebody who they know is going to dig. He's probably going to do some real work backroom. Mm-hmm. He knows the law. He knows what he's entitled to and what he's not entitled to with this position in the probe. He knows how to get information. He knows how to get people to talk. He knows how to cut deals with people to keep them safe while they talk. He knows inside and out. This isn't just another representative who was, and I'm trying to make, he wasn't just a regular old commercial lawyer before he ran for office, so he had a job and a pension for the rest of his life. He wasn't doing business contracts. Here's a guy who's dealing with huge criminal investigations as a federal prosecutor. As soon as
he's practically like Holder.
He is. He's better than Holder in my opinion.
Damn right he is.
But as soon as Boner said, "Hey, I'm going to stiffen up and pick Gowdy to lead this probe," the Dems got nervous. And you could tell by all the slander that's really picked up again in this talk. The Benghazi conversation from the left had really died down for a while because they were hoping it would just go away. And it didn't. And now that Gowdy... what?
You look like...
What are you looking at me like that for?
Because you look like a white Stevie Wonder sitting over there.
Roller coaster of love.
Is that Stevie Wonder?
Yes.
I don't know any idea. You have your glasses on, but they're sunglasses.
Yes, well, that's the only way I can read the board, their prescription.
And the microphone in front of your face with the headphones on. And you have a keyboard in front of you because it's a computer and it's sitting at the desk. I just think it's absolutely hilarious. So I'm sitting here staring at you. I can't even listen to what you're saying because I have this image in my mind of you taking a selfie.
Oh, man. So
you know what I thought selfie was for the longest time? It's not important.
I did, because we had that weird, awkward conversation. Where you were like, I'm going to take a selfie, and I was like, great. Oh, why is the belt off? And then you go into it, and of course, Golf in the chat room brought this up, and you need to start asking what happens with Elijah Cummings, and because now we know maybe he might be removed. He should be removed on that board based on what came out of the IRS. And I think he should be. I don't think he should be allowed to sit on the committee anymore because I think until that investigation's done, he should be removed because he's part and parcel to what was going on with the IRS, and it's the same committee investigating.
Yeah, but he's not the chairman. He's not leading the investigation, and he's not even a majority vote.
Right.
I honestly think that Trey Gowdy, Cummings is such an ass clown that I think Trey Gowdy is like, I can't believe you guys actually put him on this panel because he is going to make the Dems look so ridiculous if he continues with his same antics, because Trey Gowdy is, in my opinion, he's a very respectable guy. I think he's fair.
Very, very respectable
I think
guy.
He's fair, and I think everything he's said leading up to this committee is, hey, you know what? I want to get to the facts. Why do the Democrats want to hide from the facts? Let's get the facts, and wherever the facts take us, that's where we'll go. If they don't go anywhere, then great. If they do go somewhere, then it's important for the American people to know. But either way, we want to get the facts out, and the way we do that is to investigate through this panel, and that's what I'm going to do. And is essentially what he has said. And so I think with him being that fair-minded, and I think he'll be tough.
Absolutely.
He will. And if somebody's playing games or they did something wrong, I think he'll climb up their ass. He'll turn it into an anal probe. But I think that he knows how to interrogate. He knows how to ask the questions that are going to get responses. He knows how to set those traps. And by setting those traps, I'm not talking about, fooling them, but
he doesn't need to play gotcha.
He doesn't. No,
but he knows how to walk them down a road.
He does. He knows how to walk them down the road and then follow the inconsistencies if there are any. Mm-hmm. And if there aren't any, then he knows how to identify that as well. And if Elijah Cummings pulls some of the crap he's pulled on ISIS committee and really obstructs this investigation, because this is going to be very, very high profile, I think the Democrats can come off looking very bad. Now, look, I expect the Democrats to ask some of the more softball questions and to ask questions that perhaps would frame to make it look not as bad or to frame it in a good light. And I'm okay with that. I understand the politics involved, and part of that, those softball questions, those framing those questions in a particular way is important on both sides, because I think both types of questions are telling, the answers you get.
Mm-hmm.
to both questions that are framed one way versus the opposite way. And so I'm okay with that. But some of the commentary that Cummings makes and some of the statements he says and the way he conducts himself on the panels, particularly I'm referring to some of the things he's done on ISIS panels and the little arguments and tiffs they get on, I think he's going to look bad.
I agree.
So I think Gowdy's okay with Cummings being on the panel. I think he was like, yes, they got Ron Burgundy, they got Elijah Cummings. Right?
Well, and but Dan Butcher in the chat room, friend of the show, also brought up a good point. At some point, Cummings may come out and accuse Gowdy of being a racist. Listen, I think race is going to come into this a lot. I
Good.
think that. And the left loves to throw that out whenever they're in trouble.
They do.
That's going to be a telltale sign.
They do. But you know what? Gowdy, I believe, is going to respond appropriately to that. Because I believe Gowdy can very easily turn that around and say, how is getting at the truth of 4 dead Americans racist?
Mm-hmm. I agree. But you know as well as I do, they're going to flip-flop and do whatever they can to push it out there.
But that's what I mean. They're going to look ridiculous if Cummings tries this. And I don't think all of the Democratic panel will try this.
I really hope they do.
I don't. I hope they actually take this seriously and they get to the truth. Whatever the truth is. Look, if the truth comes out that the Obama administration did not change the talking points, that the Obama administration honestly believed that this is what happened, they didn't purposefully mislead the American people, whatever it is, if that honestly comes out, I am happy that we know the truth about Benghazi and that this administration didn't do anything wrong. However, the converse is also true, right? If this investigation shows that, in fact, the administration did lie to the American people, the administration did, in fact, attempt to cover this up, the administration did, in fact, do these things in an election year for political purposes, or didn't make decisions that could have put specific assets in place or prevented this attack or saved some lives or done something, then I think that is equally important.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly do. I believe it's just as important to prove the administration did the right thing versus prove the administration did nothing or did the wrong thing or purposefully lied.
Withheld and lied.
Absolutely. And now we're going to start talking about, hey, well, what does that entail? Is that going to mean impeachment or whatever it is? But take the appropriate action from there. So I hope the Democrats take it seriously with that same goal in mind. Look, I mean, these 4 Americans that died, one of them was an ambassador, and he was a Democratic appointee.
Yes.
So this isn't a Democrat-Republican issue. It shouldn't be. It's been made to be into that, but it should not be.
Agreed.
This should be, hey, we're Democrats. We actually lost some of ours as Americans, right? We're Republicans. If the president or the administration or somebody in the administration or the Secretary of State, the State Department, whatever it is, if somebody did something wrong, if they misled the American people on purpose, if they came out and lied and they tried to cover things up and they failed to act when they could have, then somebody needs to be held accountable, regardless of who that is. And as Americans, it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, why is it bad for the truth to come out? Period. That's not racist. That's not any kind of political agenda. So I genuinely hope the Democrats take this seriously. I suspect that Cummings will not, that Congressman Cummings will not.
No.
I don't know about some of the other ones. That have been named to the committee was Adam Smith from Washington State. He serves on the House Armed Services Committee. Adam Schiff. He's from California. He's a member of the House Committee on Appropriations. Linda Sanchez, she's out of California. She's on the House Committee of Ways and Means. And Tammy Duckworth, who's a member of the House Armed Services Committees, and she's from Illinois. So now Cummings already made a kind of a jackass statement. He says, I believe we need someone in the room to simply defend the truth. Hey, Congressman, your job is not to defend anything. Your job is to gather facts and find the truth.
Yes.
That's your job. It's not to defend the truth. You don't know what the truth is.
Right. Well, they've determined what the truth is.
They have all of the facts. And there 25,000 pages of whatever, and we've had this many 8 reviews have been conducted, according to Pelosi in her whiny Pelosi voice. She says, quote, 8 reviews have been conducted in the House and Senate, 25,000 documents released, millions of taxpayer dollars spent. It was not necessary to put the families of our country through this partisan exercise once again. I could have argued either way. So, all of a sudden, you care now about putting the families of our countries through this partisan exercise?
Right, you didn't give a rat's ass.
So, if you're really concerned about the families of our country...
Then you'd want the specific truth to come out, and it doesn't matter
right
who's right or wrong on the side of the aisle.
And if 25,000 documents have been released, how many documents are there? Is that 25,000 out of 1 million?
Are they 25,000 documents with one word a piece on them?
Right. What are these 25,000 documents? I mean, are they redacted to some ridiculous degree? What are we talking about here, Pistol Grip? Help me out here, sweetheart.
Is it I don't know, is it maybe your billing for all the collagen you've had put in your face? Hey, I don't know.
Hey, Toots, what are we talking about here? What's this broad saying? I don't know. I don't know what she's saying. And then she says, I could have argued either way. Yes, because you talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Oh, you said mouth. Okay.
I said mouth.
I knew what you meant.
Because she's had so much tightening and work that her ass has actually come all the way around.
It's on her forehead right now.
A second mouth. That was very disrespectful. I apologize. It's kind of funny, though. Painted a picture.
No, it really did paint a picture. Listen. At the end of the day, and like we've said before, Ken said it, if I was the president, I would be doing everything I could to dispel the rumors that I let those 4 individuals die. And as Ken pointed out in the chat room, those 4 white individuals, and Ken said that the president might be a racist. He let 4 white guys die. I'm just saying, Ken said it, not me. That's the Exceptional Conservative Show. He is our senior racial affairs reporter. So
he is our racial affairs chief.
He is. So, yeah. I mean, if anyone knows, it would be him. Listen.
He's our rat, our racial affairs technician.
But, you know, the president himself should want this to come out. If everything he's saying is true, hey, you know what? Go get them, boys. Is he our
Committee on Caucasians?
Hey, go get them, boys and gals. Let's go find it. You know what? I want to have every person that was working that night of the attack inside that compound to be in front of this committee. I want to turn around and I want to have them all interview. And we can redact their face on TV and all that stuff. We can even keep their names from the public if it's a matter of national security. But we can tell their story from inside. We can tell the story from Tripoli as to what was going on at the annex there, what information they had. We could still do that and not turn around and destroy national security interests. We can talk to the military commanders. We've already talked to some, but we can talk to more. I want to see Carter Ham on there. I want to see Hillary once again get brought in front of this committee because you know what? If they're telling the truth, it shouldn't matter. And if she has so much...
What does it matter?
If she has
At this point, what does it matter?
Brain damage from her head injury, then that pretty much sums up the 2016 election for her, too. All this stuff should be brought out without any sort of a problem from this administration if the truth is what it says, but we all know they're lying out their ass.
Either that or they know that you can't handle the truth. Here's my thing. If the president knew that somebody in his administration or he himself made a mistake, they didn't, for whatever reason, let's say they had intelligence, they failed to put adequate security in place in Benghazi because they genuinely didn't believe it was necessary. They genuinely believe in this utopian society where everybody loves one another and we all can get along just because we said, I'm sorry for what, I don't know, right? Even if that's the case, if the president came out and said, listen, the information I had, I did not believe there was an increased risk, or the Secretary of State, the Defense Department, or the State Department did not believe that there was a need for risk. Obviously there was. We were wrong in our assessment. These are the steps we're taking now. We are going to find these attackers because although maybe we could have done more in hindsight, this is a learning experience. This is how we grow as a country. This is how we come together as a country. And I'm going to take a hard look at this and correct and ensure this never happens again. But because it did, it's the fault of the terrorists this happened, where these 4 Americans died, and we are going to do everything in our power to bring them to justice. I am going to meet with my top officials. We are going to figure out how to solve this problem right now. We are beefing up security in our other consulates worldwide to ensure this never happens again. I will be completely forthcoming with Congress in this investigation. I call on the House to investigate this. I am also investigating this incident through our administration. That, you know what, that takes so much wind out of the sails. And as a man, I would have so much respect, as a president, I would have so much more respect for him, because you know what? He's not infallible. Okay?
No, he's not expected to be perfect.
Hey, left, he's not the Messiah. He's not infallible. Okay, he's not. He is a human being. And although he's president of the United States and he is expected to make decisions and to know the answers, the fact that he made a decision, it doesn't have to be the right decision, but he made a decision. If it turns out to be wrong, you learn from it and you grow. I can respect that. Right? But if you make a bad decision, or you fail to make a decision at all, and it goes sideways on you, it's like you catch your kid with the hand in the cookie jar. And did you steal that cookie? Well, no, I didn't steal that cookie. Or they throw the ball in the house and they break the lamp, right? Did
Mom
you break
always
the lamp?
said never throw a ball in the house.
Yeah, don't throw a ball in the house. No, I didn't break the lamp. Or, well, the lamp kind of fell over, but my brother made me kind of put the ball up in the air, and somebody just kind of kicked, and the lamp just kind of fell over, but it was because of the gust of wind that kicked up and a video.
Let's blame gravity.
As opposed to the kid says, you know what, Dad, yeah, I know. I shouldn't throw the ball in the house. You've told me that before.
I owned it.
I threw the ball in the house because I genuinely didn't think anything was happening. I was aiming for whatever, and the lamp broke.
Ken wants to know if you're describing a San Francisco brothel right now. Number 2, in the chat room, Ken's, and he says assessment a moment, if he means like an executive directive or order, is find out how do we cut back on allowing white men to be killed in Benghazi. So I think those are 2 things that he could have looked at.
How do we cut back on allowing white men to be killed in Benghazi? That, you know what, and that is perhaps the name of the report. So the name of the report should be the United States findings on how to cut back
on white men
being killed in Benghazi or abroad, overseas. We need shirts, save the white man.
Save all the white men in Benghazi.
Save Whitey.
Save Whitey.
And then have a picture of a big white whale.
Which is great, because I'll be standing next to you with my shirt on that says, I hate whales.
And am I describing a San Francisco brothel? No. The brothel I just described is not in San Francisco. It is, in fact, in another city.
It's in Washington, D.C. Listen.
It's Ken's house.
Poor Mrs. Ken.
I wasn't talking about that.
Save the crackers, Mary said. See, we could do a great T-shirt that says "Save the crackers," and then have a thing of like Ritz falling off the cliff.
That's not what cracker refers to. Cracker refers to cracking of the whip.
Oh,
it's an old slave term.
Oh,
it's not a saltine thing because the cracker's white.
But that'd be a good double kind of entendre T-shirt to sell. I'm just saying.
Save the cracker.
Save the cracker. And on the back, it can be a picture of a saltine falling off a cliff and like Superman flying up to save him. I'm just saying these are ideas.
You can't say you can't do Superman because that's trademarked.
All right, fine, not
item,
Superman.
Right? So you know what we can do?
Have Sackhead Men save him.
We can have a Melba cracker.
A Melba cracker.
trying to pull the saltine back up over the cliff.
That would be awesome. That was better than my idea of Super Sacco. You know what would be even better?
What?
If we get Ken's face on the superhero. Ken, the Black Falcon, he says, can save him. That would be, you know what? This is all patent pending right now. So nobody's allowed to do this ever.
No, well, we have intellectual property. We put it on the air. We date stamped it just now.
We're going to have to pay Mary her cut. She came up with the idea of Save the Cracker.
Okay.
I love that idea. So at the end of the day, here's what's going to happen.
At the end of the day, we're going to save the cracker, and the commission's going to come out with a report on how to save white men from dying and getting killed overseas.
Listen, we know the Democrats can do everything they can to disrupt this investigation.
I hope they don't.
We know the president's going to use every executive order that he can to hide things, which he's done in the past.
I hope he doesn't.
We know Trey Gowdy is going to come forth with as much information as he possibly can.
Boom, because he's awesome.
Boom, because he's awesome. And listen, one of two things. He is after the truth, and I believe that he is. But this is going to be, if he ever wants to go forth politically, or if he ever wants to be a G or something like that, I think this is where...
He is a G.
He is a G. Now, Ken, I don't know if this is funny or racist, but are we allowed to refer to Eric Holder as a G from now on? I'm just saying.
Because he is, in fact, a G.
Oh, man.
But it's not racist because we said it about Trey Gowdy first.
Right. No, we're just bridging that gap. We're getting together. We're bringing people together here on the Sack Kids Radio Show, folks. That's what we do. People from around the world, both sides of the aisle, black, white, Hispanic, doesn't matter what we are. We bring them together here and then usually insult them.
Because we're funny and we insult each other, too. Take back the hate.
Take back the hate. What's your word of the week?
Queer.
Okay.
So here's how it came about. I know some kids who may or may not have learned a game called Smear the Queer.
Oh, no.
And said kids may or may not have gone up to other members of the family, like grandparents, and when asked what they were doing, saying, Smear the Queer. We're playing Smear the Queer. Daddy taught us Smear the Queer. So when somebody may have scolded this parent said, hey, listen, queer means different. They're different because they have the ball. It's not a sexual orientation game. You get the person who's different, the one with the ball. Smear the queer. It teaches survival of the fittest. Don't be slow and don't be different. It teaches conformity and speed and fighting skills, because that's what we need. So they actually looked at said father and kind of cocked their head to the side and said, I never thought about it that way. And I said, that's why we need to take back the hate. And so hence this segment on Take Back the Hate. This week's word is queer.
And we're taking it back.
So Sean, sometimes he gets off on little tangents and he says things that are queer, that are
right
weird,
now I'm queerly
different.
wearing sunglasses.
You are. You're the only one wearing sunglasses. Yep. That's queer. And a game of Smear the Queer, that's not any kind of commentary on sexual orientation. The person you get has the ball. They're the only person with the ball. They're different from everybody else. We hate people who are nonconformists, which is why we don't like progressives, so we smear them. That's what it teaches. No, I'm kidding. That part was just completely made up. But that's what Smear the Queer is about. Get the person who's different. Get the one with the ball.
Make it happen.
My kids learned it. They love it. They're going to play it at school. I'm going to encourage them to say it and then educate their teachers on the proper use of the word queer.
I want to be in the room for that phone call.
You know I've done things like this before.
Oh, I know you have. And we are up against a break. And before we go off on that tangent, we're going to be back here at 3 here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Stick around.
Mary says wearing sunglasses at night is totally queer. It is.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state. America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Rooster from Outcry Radio. Catch me here on Blog Talk Radio every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or follow my blog. Now, back to the Sackheads.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Radio.
We're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Hey, this portion of the program is brought to us by our good friends at POF USA. Just amazing firearms manufacturer and rifle manufacturer. We can't say enough good things about those folks, so check them out, pof-usa.com.
Best rifle I've ever shot. Just a fantastic AR platform. Some of the patent products they've come up with that they've incorporated into their firearms. It's what an outstanding function of firearms to make a great GT3, an outstanding 308, and the AR platform. And I love it. Love the company. Love the product. I love
their weapon systems, and believe they've come out with Tomahawk, and they have a great Patriot line, so some pretty cool posters and T-shirts and so forth. So check them out.
Check them out there, pof-usa.com.
Tell them the Sackhead sent you.
Yeah, tell them the Sackheads. As a matter of fact, that should be the only thing you say to them for the first 5 minutes, repeatedly. Hey, just so you know, the Sackhead sent me. Sackhead sent me.
Sackhead's radio show.
Sackhead's radio show. Definitely. No, moving on. So I have to put on my glasses again so I can see what the next topic is.
That just kills me.
AG.
Yeah, so a G, we're going to call him Holder, the G, the AG.
The AG.
Eric Holder is AG, right? He announced that the Justice Department has brought a cyber espionage case against certain Chinese officials for the fact that they hacked into specific U.S. companies with the intent to steal trade secrets.
What?
What?
Our good friends over in China?
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yep. So there's charges are filed against 5 individuals, five Chinese, for cyber espionage, and there have been several people that think that it's a good thing, and several people that think it's just kind of a waste of time. What are your thoughts? Perfect. So here's
what I was okay with that. Well, no, listen.
You looked at me.
Anytime, we all know this is ground pounding, if you will. There's not much that's going to be done out of this. He's just slamming the desk and yelling at them. They're not really going to march these officials in and arrest them and put them away. Mm-hmm. It won't happen. Do I think something needs to happen? Absolutely. I think that we need to hammer any countries that are violating these rules. Especially, listen, our basis of economy is capitalism, and our ideas are what make us great. This is a great nation that was built on amazing ideas. So we need to protect that. We need to protect those that bring those ideas out and forth. And whether you like the company or not, it doesn't change the fact that they have that right to the intellectual and trade secrets.
Well,
so anytime a nation is attacking,
well, and they targeted specifically United States nuclear power, metals, and other energy industries, solar industries. The firms that were attacked included U.S. Steel Corporation. You can't attack U.S. Steel and expect to get away with it.
Yeah, see, that's like...
And Westinghouse Electric.
That's another big one. But you look at stuff, listen, this is pure infrastructure stuff. And that's something that you have to look at. Westinghouse Electric, I mean, you know they're going after information electrical systems. I think Westinghouse makes generators. I also think Westinghouse makes diesel engines for
everything.
trains.
Say everything.
They make everything.
Everything. I think they make like
why would
G.I.
they go
Joe,
after
man.
steel? Because their steel is horrible. Our alloys are 10 times better, and they need to get into the production information. And here's a little hint, too. They buy a lot of new steel, even though we don't make as much as we used to. American
Weird, right?
steel, I know, it's awful, environment again. American steel is by far the best steel on the planet.
It is. But so what's their goal? And their goal is to try and make further economic gains on the United States. Correct?
Yes.
We're ahead of the Chinese in certain areas. Look, they own a good percentage of our debt. They continue to purchase our debt. But technologically, we are more advanced. Economically, we're more advanced.
They own the quota market on Chinese food restaurants.
They do, which is really kind of difficult to... I think that's racist.
Why?
Because... Why is it not? Why do they get to have the Chinese food? Why can't Americans have Chinese food?
Well, I can. I just have to buy it from a Chinese person.
And
they won't give me their trade secrets.
Or it's called Chinese food, right?
Right.
Why is it called Chinese food? They're not the only ones that eat it. Racist. So...
Good point.
Thank you.
Thank goodness you're here for this.
But their goal is obviously to gain to gain a leg up on U.S. business and economically gain on the United States. But stealing our trade secrets and gaining access to infrastructure secrets and so forth. Look, it's a big deal, and I understand that they probably will never see the inside of a courtroom here in the U.S. China is not an extradition. We don't have a kind of extradition treaty with China. I don't believe China is going to hand over their officials for prosecution. But here's what it does, and here's what I like about it. A precedent has been set on cyber espionage now, which means if you have people within the United States operating and conducting cyber espionage, charges can be brought because they have been brought now before, right? So you're kind of learning as you go. Also, it limits the movement of these Chinese officials in terms of where they can go. They can't go to other countries that have extradition with the U.S.
Exactly.
Because now that charges have been brought, anywhere they go that has an extradition treaty with the U.S., they can be taken into custody and transferred here to the United States to stand trial. So it does accomplish something. And there's a reason the Chinese denounce it. They don't like it. They don't like it from a PR standpoint, but they don't like it also, I believe, because their officials now can't travel wherever they want to go.
It puts severe limitations.
And after they're done with their life in the Chinese military or whatever it is they're doing, if they want to go private sector, if they want to go to some form of international job making a fair amount of money or whatnot, it's going to limit their ability to do so. So I like the move. It limits their ability from being named to like ambassadors to the UN or to be holding other positions in government that may require them to travel. So look, while I understand that it's probably largely symbolic, it does have an impact on them.
Yes.
And the fact that they infiltrated U.S. Companies and trade secrets for this cyber espionage, this electronic burglary, really, which it was likened to burglary by somebody in the media, and I actually like that analogy. That's
a great analogy.
You know what? It holds them accountable. It really does. And what else can Holder do about it? What else can the Attorney General's office do about it? Nothing. But they had the balls to file charges in federal court and say, hey, we may not be able to get you, like in the international community, we may not be able to do much to you at all. However, we're going to stand up and give you the giant middle finger for doing this to us, and we're going to bring charges against you, and we're going to limit your ability for what countries you can go to, because if you go to those countries, we're going to extradite your ass for what you did to our industry and our American companies. And so even though it may never see the light of day, here's a big middle finger for you. And I like it. I actually have to give the Justice Department some props on this. Whether it's going to go anywhere or not, just the fact they had the balls to stand up and give the big FU to the people that are conducting these attacks, because China basically said, well, where's the evidence? And I think the Justice Department said, well, it's right here, and we have enough to get an indictment. So,
they did something. Now, I think they should charge him in absentia, find a way to enforce the death penalty. Just hear me out on this.
I'm listening.
And you know what? The first chance we get, bye, and prove a point. And they'll say, I'll say, no, we didn't ever cross into China. We waited. They were in another country that has a non-extradition treaty, and we just happened to be across the border. We never crossed in, but we had to enforce our law.
Right.
A couple things in the chat room. Ken said, you notice it's funny they're able to trace 5 Chinese responsible for cyber terrorism, yet they can't make a website for Obamacare. I think that's a very good point. And out of the 700 million Chinese, 700 million, think about that number for a second. There are 5 chosen.
That's 1,700,000 times. To give you an idea of how big that is.
Oh, and Ken said, we could barter this out. I like this idea, too. Let's trade those 5 lives for $10 billion in T-bills. No, that's right. We got to find...
Did he say for 10 million tea bags?
Bills.
Oh.
Well, I don't think we wanted all the tea in China.
No. Well, that's why I was wondering, right? Why do we want T-bills?
But no, can you imagine if we went full on this, charged him absentia, found a way to sentence him to death, and carried that out? Can you imagine? Oh, yeah, no, we killed him. Yeah, but no, sorry, you just don't steal from us. Because I look at it this way. If somebody broke into my home, odds are they're not making it out. And I'm the first person to say that.
Well, because if they're breaking into your home when you're there, chances are they're going to do something very bad to you.
Right. And I'm in fear of my life and the life of my family, my young son. And that's something that I take completely to heart. And I will defend that. Now, people have made this analogy to burglary. If we need to find a way to act quicker when they're in the middle of the cyber terrorist attack, maybe for once we can use a drone the right way, instead of using it just all willy-nilly like it's being done now. I'm just saying we need to think outside the box a little bit on this. We need to use this. And listen, I think Holder went with this because it looks like he's doing something. I don't really think it's like a slam dunk thing. I'm glad he did it, but it's not anything that overly impresses me. Because... Listen, we all know they'll never see a courtroom in America. It's not going to happen. He knows it's not going to happen. Therefore, it's either never going to be prosecuted because they'll never be able to stand trial, or they're going to charge him in absentia, which is going to be pretty hard to...
Which almost makes me like it more, because that just goes to show you that they're doing this just as a giant FU. Which I respect.
Yeah, but
Look,
I don't think it's a giant FU. I think it's just more of a...
it's more of a what? Why else would they do it? It's not just
why else do they do it? Because they're looking for votes for the Democrats. A lot of the people that are affected by this are big money business holders. The Democrats need to look tough. They need to look like they're protecting American capitalism. They need to make it look like they're protecting trade secrets and go the extra mile. I think this is more of a dog and pony show. Yeah, I'm glad he did it, but I think it's a dog and pony show. I don't think it takes a lot of balls to do this.
What other administration has done this?
For cyber terrorism?
Yeah.
None.
Obviously, this is the first, right?
Right.
It sets a precedence.
It does set a precedence.
I like it.
I'm not saying
have other administrations gone after,
but I'm not
have other administrations gone after another government like this and charged them in U.S. courts for what? For a country that they know was screwing with us, just to charge them, just to send a message when we had no other recourse to it.
I just think this is. But see, you're based on what I know of this administration, what I know of Holder, I would love to say that he's doing this for the right reasons, but I don't think so. I think this is strict politics.
You think saying F you to another country is the right
I think when you look at China and you say, hey, we're charging 5 people and we're going to do it in absentia and blah, 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 blah for trade secrets and we're never really going to enforce it.
But it's cyber espionage, and he didn't say they're trying to enforce it. He said, hey, we hope they bring him here, but they're probably not going to.
Right. But I think this is more about making the Democrats look tough on an internet. Look at all the international affairs debacles this administration's had, and everyone keeps calling for them to look tough. And now they're going to do this to try to look tough. I just think, like I said, I just think it's a dog and pony show.
What? I mean, if they would you agree that this is this could be a tough stance? It could be because they're actually bringing charges against them. Could it be?
Yes.
If it is, then regardless of the motivation, if people are saying, oh, they need to be tough, and they say, oh, okay, we'll get tough. We'll actually charge them, or we'll do something. Whether it's a giant FU or whether they're just trying to be tough, the fact is they did it, right? No. So why not give them credit for actually doing it?
I'm not saying they're not getting credit. I'm just questioning why they're doing it.
Okay.
That's all.
And I think that's fair to question the motivation behind it.
Yes, that's
But
all.
I'm still very happy that they did it. I think it's great. I think the fact that they had the balls to make that decision, regardless of what was behind the decision, they had the balls to make the decision. They knew China was going to be pissed off.
Yeah, but they go after 5 Chinese nerds. We haven't heard squat about Benghazi.
Aren't they? Well, we're not talking about
No,
Benghazi.
no. But what I'm saying is
one incident.
I understand that, but I look at the totality of this administration. They've certainly given us enough reason to do that.
Of course they have.
So I look at how tough all of a sudden they are on 5 Chinese nerds who are charged with international espionage. All right, maybe from Mom's basement. We don't know where they were. I'm guessing Mom's basement. They stepped away from
We're still confirming that report.
Right, we're still confirming that. They were
surfing porn with one hand, and they were stealing trade secrets with the other.
But there's so many other things that we've left to question, and so many other international affair debacles.
I'm not disputing that at all.
Okay.
I'm not disputing
but that's why I'm automatically suspicious of AG.
But we pride ourselves on this show of being fair.
I am.
And the fact that they made a decision that took some balls to make. They've done something that no other administration has done, that nobody else has done in holding them accountable for this. The fact they made that decision, regardless of what's been going on behind it, regardless of the reasons for it or what they have going on in Benghazi or these other things. I'm not saying the administration's great, but I'm saying this decision, I think they got right. Regardless of how you got there, I think they got this one right, and I'm willing to give them the credit for that. I'm not going to knock down or diminish the decision they made based on motivation or anything like that, because then I think we run the risk of not being taken seriously when we say, hey, we're actually fair. If they do something right, we'll actually say they did it right. Because in this case, I think they did it right.
Well, but I'm questioning their motive behind it. I'm not questioning the action. I'm not questioning the outcome. I'm not questioning what it says to China. Do I think China's probably going to laugh a little bit?
Of course.
Of course they are.
Do you think they did the right thing? The administration did the right thing in making this call?
Yes, but not for the right reasons.
Okay, but did they do the? Did they?
What did I just say?
What did I just say? You said yes.
Yes, something should have been done, but it's hard for me to swallow this with an administration that's been so weak with people attacking us.
Again, I'm not saying.
Okay, but that's my point behind this. Is I'm not arguing,
but give them credit where credit's due.
But I'm not arguing that they shouldn't have done it, and I'm giving them the credit for that.
Okay.
But I am now looking into it with an investigative eye a little bit, and questioning the motivation behind it.
Okay.
We know what the end result is, and we can say, yeah, it's the right thing to do, but there's so many other things that they stonewalled on. Why are they so hot and heavy, or how about fast and furious, if you will, on 5 Chinese nerds?
Because they stole trade secrets from the United States. It's something that politically I think they can get away with, right? It's going to piss China off, but who cares? We'll give a big F you to China.
They don't care.
For whatever reason.
China's not even pissed.
Yeah, they are. They signed a deal today with Putin, right?
Yeah,
with
but
energy.
They were going to sign that anyhow. They're not signing that.
They're not signing that. It took 10 years to negotiate a price from Russia. 2 days after we announced charges for 5 nerds, they signed a deal with Russia.
No, it was 10 years in the works. Like you said, it was going to happen anyways. It's just the timing.
So just the timing.
I think that's just the timing.
So now I can't look at something with an investigative eye.
I thought we were having a debate about this.
I'm just...
I thought we were having a debate.
Ripped off his face and flew across the room onto the carpet, which was awesome. By the way,
thank you very much. I wish everyone at home. You know what? Maybe I'll start doing a Sackhead Sean webcam for the show for this. No, I'm not saying that it was wrong. I'm not saying that the Chinese are taking notice or not taking notice. What I'm turning around and saying is that I question the motivation behind it. It's just, to me, there's so many other things that I think is more important that they should be dealing with. I'm not trying to belittle the trade secrets not being an important thing, but it just shocks me how we can't get people prosecuted that should be prosecuted for things in this country that they could bring to a trial in front of everybody, American citizens who've done criminal acts, like the Attorney General himself, or at least held in contempt, but we can hit up 5 Chinese nerds in Mom's basement.
I think it's a big deal they stole. I think it's a big deal what they did.
It's a big deal they did.
I think it's a big deal what they did. I think the Attorney General should hold them accountable. I think he did the right thing in this case, and I'm not willing to minimize it to the point of it's just 5 nerds in their mom's basement. I think that's funny, but I think that they did some serious damage potentially to American industry. And as an American, when, hey, we're trying to compete on the global market, we have secrets that China is really trying to compete with us and diminish us, and our situation is diminishing. I think it is a major deal.
It is.
And the fact that they stepped up and took care of it, I don't know that I agree necessarily that there's bigger things we should be dealing with. I think that's a pretty big thing.
But where are they going after Russian for the people that hacked into Target that were Russian and attacked all those accounts? Are those trade secrets that directly affect the United States, though, or do they just affect look at what it did to the economy and our credit
to
in this
a point?
country.
That's different, though, when you're talking about nuclear secrets, when you're talking about U.S. Steel, when you're talking about Westinghouse. That's different on a whole different level.
I understand it, but nothing was ever done
together. But you can't even compare those two.
Sure you can.
No, absolutely not. You have independent citizens. It was a horrible thing. Yes, you had citizens who were victimized in that, but that doesn't affect the U.S. industry as a whole, particularly its ability to compete on a global market.
I will argue that it does, because now people are less ready to shop. They certainly had killed Target.
But we're not talking about a global economy. We're not talking about something.
Target
does not affect.
But we're talking about an American
US
economy
business.
and an economy that's already starving.
Yeah, but we're not talking about secrets from, like I said, U.S. Steel, Westinghouse.
I understand what you're saying.
Major things that affect the United States as a whole. Our ability to compete
understand
on a global.
that.
We're talking about, in comparison to that, a relatively minor consumer issue that could negatively impact the economy.
To the tune of billions of dollars so far.
Okay, but still, when you're talking about this other part, when you're talking about the secrets that the Chinese were getting into, that's a drop in the, and how it affects America.
I understand what you're saying. I understand the
that's a ridiculous
separation.
Comparison.
But I don't think it's a ridiculous comparison. I think it's a very fair comparison. It's an international body. They may or may not have worked for the government.
So Target has big government contracts like U.S. Steel and Westinghouse, and they affect our ability to...
Should they be treated any less, though, because they're just Target?
Yes, they do, because it affects the nation differently. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because it affects the nation.
So now there's
on
a standard
level
on those that contract government stuff on a private business. So there should be different sets of rules on private business depending on whether or not they're government contractors. That's what you're saying.
If you're talking about going after foreign nationals, which has never been done before, are you going to go? You asked a question. I'm going to answer it. So if you're talking about going after foreign nationals with something that's never been done before, and you're making a decision to go after people that ripped off Target and individual consumers at Target, or you're talking about 5 people from a government that has a history of hacking our
I understand
infrastructure
that.
and going after, then clearly you go after that country, particularly if it's never been done before. And I have no issue with that. Now, if the Justice Department wants to get involved and investigate the Target issue and the FBI or whatever, I have no issue with that either. But I don't think that that's a fair comparison.
But what
to
I'm
make when
saying
it
is
talks about how it affects us as a whole, as a country. And
again,
our economy.
this goes back to my motivation of the investigation. This was a sexy thing to do against a big opponent who everyone's saying, especially if you're the administration, if you're Democrats especially, they own our wealth, they own this, they own that, we need to do something. You look horrible on foreign policy, we need to step up. What can we do to look tough on the international level? Hey, there's these 5 guys that, even though we've been hacked probably 10 times before by other countries, and we've never imposed this, but this just kind of happened and we could do something. Okay, run with it. That's how I feel this comes up. And you know what? The sad part is I have lost that much faith in our government that I can't just sit here without questioning why they would do that and give them – I wish I could give them the benefit of the doubt. Listen, I wish I could say, you know what, good for them because they went after those bastards and they deserved it. But I can't give them that benefit of the doubt because they have yet to earn my respect for it.
Well, and then I think that's unfortunate because it shows a particular, and granted, we are an opinion show,
absolutely.
But I think that shows particularly in this, and we are an opinion show, and we are pretty critical of this administration, particularly. We're critical of government in general, but we're critical of this administration particularly because of the things they've done. To be fair, but I think that if they actually do something good, I'm willing to give them that benefit, unless I have something that points to the contrary, and I don't hear. Now, are there other things we should be doing as well? Absolutely. Should we be perhaps spending a little bit of money? And I'm not one for spending money, but should we spend a little bit of money in order to beef up our cybersecurity?
Trust me,
Absolutely.
I've been out to dinner with him. He's not one to spend money.
You know, should we?
He ironically has to pee whenever the bill comes.
Should we do other things should we do other things in order to beef up and prevent this?
Yes,
absolutely. We should. But the fact this step was taken, I give it as a plus for this administration. And I know I think you give it, it was good, but, so what is that, a neutral? Is that like a thumb to the side?
I'll even give him
I give it a thumbs up.
I'll give him a point to the good side, a point to the, you did the right thing.
So like a 45-degree up with a thumb.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll do that for following through.
Okay.
But I will tell you, as an American, this administration, government in general, needs to earn back my respect because as of now, as of the last 7 years, and I'll go beyond at the end of the Bush administration with all the money they spend, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I have a hard time just trusting it that it's not for political gain versus protecting our secrets.
Okay.
And but we've
could it
talked
be both?
About, it could be.
Okay.
It absolutely could be. But we've talked about how polarized we are as a nation for a reason. We've talked about how they have used politics so much as a reason for their right and wrong versus
we
our
have
Constitution.
Like 30 seconds.
I know. I love it.
I love it, too. Good debate.
It was a great debate. I had a lot of fun with that.
It was a good show.
We should do that every week. Thank you, everyone, for listening tonight here on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you check out all of our good friends here on SHR Media. Read the blogs and really just take it all in, read it, get it, wash it through your brain, and throw some comments out there and share it with your friends. We'd absolutely love that. Thank you to everyone in the chat room for joining us this evening. It was a great show. We really appreciate it. And more importantly, my friend, now less importantly, my friend, I will see you next.
more importantly, my friend. I'll see you Saturday.
I'll see you Saturday.
I'm flying down to Southern California on Friday.
Awesome. We'll have fun with
that.
Find
Sackhead Clint.
Find Sackhead Clint in Southern California. I will not be doing the Mannerism show tomorrow afternoon. I do have an appointment. I am going to try to get it in maybe this coming Tuesday. I'm going to try to jump it up a little bit. And I'll do 2 shows back to back. Thank you, sir, for an excellent show, an excellent debate. I really appreciate it. I so much love this time together that we get to spend and really solve all the world's problems. We should be president and vice president of the United States, or press secretary. You should be press secretary. We've had this discussion before, and the visual is hilarious. For Sackhead Clint, I'm Sackhead Clint.
for Sackhead Sean.
Hey, excellent. Thank you so much. We will see you next Wednesday here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Hey, we should do that bit where like you're like the press secretary and you come out and your pants are off and you have like scotch in one hand and coffee in the other and like your heart drawers on with your sock